Am I the a-hole for not letting my boyfriend be the hero while we were getting mugged at knife point? Plus updates. Original post. My boyfriend is a big hero fanatic and does everything in his power to be like one. It's really endearing, and it's one of the many things I love about him because he wants to be the good he wishes to see in the world. But this mindset he has is why we are fighting right now. We've been quarantining at my apartment. He's not on the lease and he suggested we go on a night walk since we've been getting stir crazy from being inside all day. He figured that it'd be better for social distancing to go out at night. I was hesitant because we live in a bad neighborhood, but he assured me he'd protect me. On our walk, we were cornered by a man with a knife that demanded our wallets. I remember John Mulaney's Street Smarts bit from the Netflix show and was going to throw my wallet past the mugger so we could run away. But my boyfriend started arguing with him and was spouting off a bunch of stuff about justice and how the mugger wouldn't get away with us. It looked like he was getting ready to fight. I was taken aback by this, and I guess the mugger too, because it gave me enough time to take the important stuff out of my wallet while he was distracted. I interrupted my boyfriend's monologue and said, "Take it, just don't hurt us," and threw it behind a guy. When it turned, I grabbed my boyfriend's hand and we booked it back to the apartment. We got home safely and I was relieved that we were okay, but my boyfriend was fuming. He was angry that I interrupted him from protecting me, when he could have, in his words, clearly handled it himself. I told him he could have gotten himself killed. He said that he was obviously stronger than the mugger and would have won. I explained to him that the guy had a weapon and my boyfriend didn't, so the odds were stacked against him. Not only that, but I don't want my boyfriend to get killed over a damn wallet. We argued for longer than necessary, so I shut it down and told him we could talk about it when our adrenaline wasn't so high, but that I needed to file a police report while the event was fresh. He stomped off to our room while I called the cops. When I was off the phone, I went to lay with him, but he rolled away from me. The next day, he was still angry and had already told his friends and family about what had happened to us. I thought that they would be understanding about how I handled it, but they were mad at me for not letting him have his opportunity to be a hero. His mom even ridiculed me for emasculating him. I want to reopen the conversation so we can understand each other and move past it, but if he isn't receptive, I'm going to ask him to move back in with his mom. I want to understand where I went wrong if I went wrong, but honestly, I feel like he's being childish and unreasonable. I just want to know if I'm the a-hole, or is he? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. Tell freaking Justice League over there that life isn't a movie, and that anyone who fights someone who has a knife are guaranteed 100% going to get cut, regardless of if he trains Krav Maga or how many Marvel movies he's seen. I told him 100 times that a fist wouldn't win against a fight, but he won't hear it. I don't understand how the people in his life encourage this. He could have died. They teach you how to win a fight against a knife-wielding assailant in MMA or self-defense classes. You freaking run. Do not play the hero. You do the minimum necessary to be able to make a safe getaway, because even highly trained, you're very likely to be seriously injured if not killed. And you're right, a wallet isn't worth dying over. Tell his mom there's nothing masculine about taking stupid risks. Take him back to his mother to sulk there, because that's what he is doing. Sulking. He insisted on going a walk in a bad neighborhood at night, knowing the chances of something bad happening were high. He put you at risk, and his response is childish and pathetic. Anyway, how do you know that it was a real mugger, and not a setup to prove to you how hero-like he can be? I honestly wouldn't stay with him. I don't see the hero worship endearing. Just means that he doesn't like himself very much. It's tied into his self-esteem. So when you wouldn't let him be the hero in his eyes, you smashed his sense of self/purpose/self-esteem. He's also sexist as all hell with wanting to save you. Dear Lord. His hero fantasy is escapism at best, and damaging at worst. Wanna be Superman needs some therapy. Also, don't listen to all that BS. Your quick thinking got you both out unscathed. Emasculated my butt. Not the a-hole. You know, I really don't think he'd stoop to set up a fake mugger. But at this point, I don't see how the heck he can react the way he is, since this was a very real thing that happened to us. We still haven't talked about what happened yet because he went to visit his mom, probably to sulk like he said. But these few comments are making me reevaluate a lot about his values when it comes to this hero nonsense. I didn't even consider the sexist undertones to everything, so thank you for pointing it out. Also, I hope you're okay. Being mugging is really scary, so please reach out to a professional if you need help in the future. This drama with your boyfriend could be clouding a little bit of trauma, which is a natural response. Thank you. I'm okay. I plan on getting in touch with a therapist and I'm going to suggest he does the same. Now for the first update. I just want to thank everyone who has commented. It relieves me to know I'm not insane. He's still at his mom's house and I haven't heard from him, nor have I tried to reach out. All of his friends have ghosted me too, except for one of them who is trying to mediate. If I don't hear from him tonight, I'll reach out tomorrow. I plan on updating in the comments depending on where this goes. Again, thank you to everyone for sharing your thoughts on this. Now for the second update. So, he called me last night and I answered. He asked if I was okay and how I was doing. Then he asked if he could come over, and I said he could. I planned on bringing everything up again myself because he had been very passive-aggressive and refusing to talk about it. But when he showed up, he immediately started apologizing. Everything you guys pointed out, he started agreeing with. He was saying that he was being delusional and realistic, the whole hero fantasy isn't healthy, that it jeopardized my safety and that wasn't okay, etc. I wasn't prepared for this behavior, especially compared to how he'd been acting all week. We talked for hours before we went to bed together, and everything seemed like it worked out fine. I was really on the verge of ending things, so it was a relief I didn't have to in that moment. Then this morning came and crap hit the fan. In my comment update on the last post, I mentioned that a friend was trying to mediate. I texted that friend that things worked out, and they said something along the lines of, "I'm so glad you were able to apologize." Huh? Some people mentioned that maybe it told a different story, which isn't something I looked into, but I decided to ask. And oh boy, I'm glad I did. Firstly, he told everyone the night walk was my idea. Then apparently, we were never mugged. Nope. Apparently, I just started talking trash to a stranger on the street in an attempt to make him show he was a strong man and protect me. And the only reason we were able to get away was because he de-escalated the situation, and that it was emasculating because he was put in a position where he felt like he was forced to fight for my honor. Are you freaking kidding me? To make a long story short, he tried to play dumb and backpedal this morning when I confronted him about it. And then when I pressed him to be honest, he snapped again and said, "What was I supposed to say? The whole situation was embarrassing and it was going to make me look bad." We argued again for a bit, but I was just done. I told him to go and that it wasn't gonna work. He didn't have much stuff, so it was easy to put in a spare grocery bag and just toss at him while he angrily left. He's currently outside of my complex waiting for mommy to pick him up. As far as I'm concerned, I dodged a bullet. Screw his friends, screw his mom, screw him. Thank you for opening my eyes, guys. This felt good to read. I'm happy for you. I'm wondering about what his plan was, with putting up the act of being apologetic to OP while having a completely different story to his social circle. Also, if OP is older than boyfriend by a few years, seems like OP has her own place and boyfriend has mommy around a lot. Anyway, bullet dodged indeed. We are both in the same age, but my parents aren't really in the picture. He and his mom are best friends. It was very annoying. He and I don't have the same social circle, so he wasn't expecting me to talk to any of his friends about what happened, which I'm sure is what he was hoping for. Jesus, I literally just saw your first post, scrolled down and saw the update. You did everything right. You were mature and reasonable and ready to move. This schmuck is embarrassing. Make sure to talk to your friends and be glad you're done with the dweeb. Thankfully, we have separate friend groups. My friends know I'm not full of it like this. Some of them were never fond of him from the start, so they're glad that the relationship is done. Might be petty, but I would tell all those people the truth, so they know what a lying nut job he is. I don't care what his friends think, and they probably won't believe me. I did send his mom proof of the police report and then blocked her number. Don't really want to hear from her or her son again. Next story. Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend he's a bad person? Original post. So recently, my boyfriend got some dental trays for his teeth done, molds of your teeth, which can be used to put product in to whiten your teeth. He's done this before, but lost his last set of trays, so went somewhere new to get some new trays done. My boyfriend told me that when going to pick up his dental trays, the receptionist just gave him the trays without asking for the payment of them. He then took the trays and left knowing he had not paid for them. The receptionist called shortly after he left and explained that a mistake was made, and could he please either come back and pay for the trays or pay over the phone. My boyfriend lied, saying he was adamant he had already paid before picking the trays up. And it wasn't his fault that they had no record of him paying or that he didn't keep his receipt to prove it to them. He was pretty vocal to me about not wanting to pay for the dental trays if he didn't have to, and that it was the receptionist's mistake and on her. What sparked our argument about this was a car journey where he answered the phone to the manager of the dental practice, who was following up the call with the receptionist. My boyfriend continued with his lie that he had already paid, and it was not his problem that they could not provide proof of this. Now, something about witnessing him lie so easily to this man really bothered me, and it bothered me that he didn't care if the receptionist may get into serious trouble, or even lose her job over this mistake, or that he wasn't losing out by paying as he would have paid for the product in normal circumstances. After the call, which didn't reach any resolution, I told him that was very uncomfortable for me to hear and witness, and that he's a bad person for lying like that, when he knows full well it was likely an honest mistake by the receptionist, and he got a product he didn't pay for. My boyfriend is now giving me the silent treatment, and seems really hurt that I called him a bad person. He says most people would avoid paying for something if they didn't have to. Am I the a-hole? Should I apologize? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole in the least. Huge red flag here. What your boyfriend did is outright stealing. He is also stupid. This is the 21st century. The dentist knows he didn't pay, and the police will know that too when the dentist presses charges. Thank you. It's good to see most people wouldn't do this. This isn't the first red flag of this nature, but this one really stuck out to me. I'm going to seriously reconsider our future. We had plans to travel, get engaged, etc. As it's clear our core values don't match, and I'm almost certain he could just as easily lie in this manner to me. Bad people never think they're bad. They always think everyone else is just as corrupt as them, hence the everyone else would do the same thing line. My awful dad used to say that all the time about his behavior. I've learned to be very cautious of people who say that sort of thing. Not the a-hole. You called him a bad person because he is. Dental equipment is expensive, so that dental tray was in the hundreds if not in the thousands. He lied and knows that the receptionist could be fired over his lie, and doesn't care. This sets up a disturbing pattern. Dump him as fast as you can. And call the dentist. Tell the truth and save your job. I think I'm going to. I'll post an edit update soon. And now for the update. I spoke to the manager of the dental practice. I explained that my boyfriend had been open to me about not paying and that he doesn't plan to. The manager said the letter was already on the way demanding the payment, and if boyfriend fails to pay, then court proceedings will begin. He was thankful I called and knew it was their mistake, but was surprised by my boyfriend's attempts to argue with him. That's a good result for now. I didn't plan on telling my boyfriend as I wanted to end it. There's been too many red flags. So I decided I couldn't ever truly trust him, and I didn't want to add fuel to the fire. But before I got to end our relationship in person, I learned another painful lesson. Recently, my boyfriend's laptop broke. This was fine as it was old and he can't work from home anyway as he sells cars, so he's used mine. Earlier this week, I'm on my laptop working and go to check my personal emails. Except my boyfriend's email was still logged in when I opened the web page. I go to log out, but saw the most recent 30-ish emails were all from the same person. A girl. This was weird because who emails like that to converse anymore? I know it was an invasion of privacy, but I clicked onto the emails. I deduced this was a girl from his work. They were emailing because her mobile phone was broken, and emailing him from her work email during the day was an easy way for them to still talk. The emails were flirtatious. They mentioned dates they'd been on. He'd clearly been to her house. They spent lunch breaks together and she thought he was single. The more I read, the more enraged I became. What if I'd never clicked the email? After considering where I could bury him, I decided to remain calm. I called my manager to tell her what I just learned. She's super cool and said to take the afternoon. I then called the emergency locksmith and packed up my boyfriend's stuff. He alternates between staying at mine and his mom's, except for his PS5, which I bought for his 25th birthday last month. With his purge of my boyfriend from my life was ready, I texted him, I know about Susan. Our relationship is over, and your things are on the doorstep. You must transfer me the money for XYZ. Please don't ever contact me again. And blocked him and everything. A little while later, There's knocking at my door and is pleading to be let in to talk about it. I can see him, but stays silent where he can't see me. He was on his knees crying, begging, pleading for me not to leave him. Whether they were crocodile tears or not, my heart ached. After some time, he left with his stuff. I felt relief and had a good cry, but I doubt that's the last I'll hear from him. I feel heartbroken and stupid. An enormous thank you to all those who said his behavior was revealing of his character and what he's capable of. I will apply the same vigilance to future partners. I know this is a dodged bullet, but it hurts like hell. Edit, just wanted to clarify some things. I kicked him out of my house. I own it. He's never paid anything towards it. It has no documentation linking him to my house. He alternates between staying at mine and his mother's, with his mother's being his official and primary residency. Weirdly, some of you are really focused on the fact I kept the PS5. I paid for it, have the receipts, and it never left my home. I feel like retracting this gift has had little over a week, because an a-hole tax is morally justified after it's been a 5-star a-hole. And last time I checked, this was a moral judgment, not a legality sub. I think they'd be very different comments if this was the other way around, and he'd just given me an engagement ring, and then found out I was cheating not even 2 weeks later. Yes, it would be mine under the jurisdiction of a gift, but is it morally right I get to keep the ring? Probably not. I noted down the email of the girl my ex was cheating with, in case I wanted to contact her directly. I was thinking of constructing a message explaining everything and assuring her I'm not bitter towards her. Then it's up to her what she wants to do with that info. Thanks so much for all the supportive messages and comments. I am reading every single one. I'm honestly shocked at the amount of kindness from strangers. Update. My ex-husband wouldn't let my youngest daughter to be at my wedding. Original post. So I need to give some backstory. My ex-husband, 37 male, and I, 37 female, have been divorced for 6 years now. We have 2 daughters. Emily, 16 female, and Gabby, 8 female, and was happily married for 10 years. Then, he cheated on me with a college freshman and left me for her. It was hard for me. I was in so much emotional pain. It wasn't just his cheating, but also how he said he hates me and that I looked ugly. He even said something on the line of, I was not as tight as I used to be. You can imagine my pain. It gave me some serious trust issues. I couldn't forget what he said to me during our divorce. Emily knew why we divorced, and she held some resentment towards her father for that. But Gabby was too young at the time. Nonetheless, he was a crappy husband, but a good father to both of them. We shared custody. The girls would be with me from Friday to Monday. I tried my best, but from time to time I would spiral, and I have been in and out of therapy since my divorce. I met my now husband Ben, 41 male, 4 years ago. We met because we worked in the same building and I was crying on the roof of the office building. Ben was there too when he saw me. He asked me what happened and I just bawled my eyes out, because that day was my wedding anniversary, and that was the same day my ex decided that he would get married to his affair partner. Ben listened to my concerns and stayed with me the whole day to make sure I was fine. He even dropped me to my house because I was too emotionally unstable to drive myself. From there, we started dating. He told me a story about how he lost his wife and only daughter 10 years ago in a car accident. He was really fond of my daughters as well. Emily has started to call him Dad after a year of us dating. Gabby also calls him Daddy Ben. I was finally healing and getting back to my old self. Ben was really nice and caring, and we welcomed our son a year ago. My girls are happy to have a brother. He proposed to me when I was pregnant, and we had been planning for our wedding since then. Now here is the issue. Emily is one of my bridesmaids, while Gabby is my flower girl. Emily is old enough to choose which parent she wants to live with, so there was no issue from her part. But Gabby was still going back and forth from my house to my ex's house. My wedding is in 2 weeks. My ex was fine with it at first. I spoke to him many times to make sure that he drives Gabby to my mother's place, but now he refuses. He says that he only gets to see his daughter 3 times a week, and he is not willing to give up his days for some party. I told him he could take my days for a week and let her be at the wedding, but he says he will not let Gabby go. The wedding is on a Tuesday, which means Gabby would be with him. I cannot change the date because everything is booked. Please give me some advice. We have argued a lot, and I don't think I can go through any emotional pain with us ever again. Gabby would be heartbroken because she is really excited to be flower girl. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Wow, what a massive a-hole. Tell him you will give up a month's worth of days for that one day because it is a monumental special occasion. Ask him if he is really that heartless to hurt his daughter just to spite you. Ask him if he can look her in the eye and explain to her why she doesn't get to be a flower girl in her mom's wedding. Ask him if he hates you more than he loves his daughter. Will your older child talk to him? While it's really not fair to put her in that situation, it may help. I don't want to put this pressure on her. She already hates him for what he had done. I don't think giving up a month just for one day seems logical, but I will have a harsh talk with him. He cannot keep my daughter away from me. Les, your ex is using your youngest daughter to get to you. It's not about her or the wedding. It's about pushing buttons. He knows how to do it, and has found one to push. I learned it in the hard way. In total disclosure, my ex did something similar. I thought she was above that, but she wasn't. My 4 kids didn't go to my wedding to second and current wife. They hold that against her still 23 years later. Karma sucks sometimes. As a last-ditch effort, contact the attorney you used when you got divorced. See if they will draft a letter to him reminding him that events in parents' lives are usually negotiated between the willing parents for the good of the children. Maybe a letter will adjust his thinking. If not, I'd send a final text, then let it go. I'm not sure how he's going to explain to the youngest why the older can go and she can't, but that's his anchor. And if younger asks you why, tell her Dad's pushing for you to not be there. I want you there. He does not. Firmly point out that this is on him, not you. Congrats on the upcoming wedding. Focus on the day, not that jerk messing with you. I will do that. Thanks. Now for the update 4 days later. It's been hectic since the last I posted. So I mentioned in my last post that my ex-husband with whom I share 2 children, Emily and Gabby. Emily lives with me now, but occasionally goes to her father's place. I made that post on Wednesday and went Friday to pick up Gabby. My daughter Emily was angry. I asked her what happened, and she says that Gabby was throwing a tantrum because of some stupid lie their father has told Gabby that they will be going on a vacation on my wedding day. Gabby said no, because she was excited to be my flower girl and threw a tantrum. I was furious. This cowardly man wanted to take my daughter away from me so that she's never my flower girl. I stomped my way into his house and demanded to see my daughter. My fiancé was with me. I demanded to see my daughter and said that he was a coward for not telling my daughter the real reason why she can't be at my wedding. My daughter rushed towards my fiancé Ben, and I told him to tell Gabby the truth. I was done with this man. I told him if he doesn't tell her, I will. I had screenshots on my phone. I am surprised that he caved and eventually told her the truth. Gabby was crying and saying that she hates him. My ex-husband was not having it. She took Gabby away from Ben and violently shakes her and calls her a brat who doesn't appreciate her dad. I don't know what came onto me, but I saw red and pushed my ex out of the way. He called me a witch, and his wife came out and tried to handle him. I got my daughter Gabby, but my ex wasn't letting me. He even got into a physical altercation with my fiancé, while Emily was recording it from a distance. My ex kept shouting that he will not let my daughter go with him. I reminded him that this is my turn to have her, and that he agreed he would let my daughter stay with me until the wedding is over. I have the messages with me that he agreed to our agreement. He couldn't do anything, and we left. Upon arriving, Emily told me if it is possible to keep Gabby with us forever, because she does not want to live with her dad. I asked why, and she told me that her dad has been really angry ever since I started a relationship. It wasn't that extreme at first. Then he started insulting me behind my back about how much I downgraded by dating Ben. It got even more agitated when he learned I was pregnant. He has been asking his wife to start having kids, and they had fights multiple times. It doesn't end there. Emily also mentions he would often lash out on Gabby and even scold her for making small mistakes. He even forced both of them to call his wife Mom, but Emily refused. She also said the only reason she ever goes back is because she knows Gabby has to stay with him, and she is just protecting her. I cried and asked her why she didn't tell me. She responded that she saw how happy I was with Ben, so she didn't want to burden me. I don't know what to say. I never wanted my daughter to take the burden. While I am happy that she tried to protect her sister, I feel disappointed in myself that I was so busy with my new life that I neglected my daughter. Whenever they came home, they were smiling, and I took that as a sign that everything was okay. I told Emily while I'm proud of her, she should have told me. She should have never taken it upon herself to save Gabby. I am their mother, and I will protect them from everything. I was going to let my daughter stay with my ex when I was in my honeymoon, so that he would not cry about not spending enough time with his daughters. Now I'm thinking otherwise. I don't know what to do. I am really stressed and next week is my wedding. The amount of people freak out when the ex starts dating again is mind-boggling. Especially the ones who cheated on their ex and left them. I saw another post on AITA where the mom who cheated on OP's father with a stepdad freaked out when her ex who she left 7 years ago started dating. The mom straight up stalked the girlfriend. The cheater never ends up happy. You see it time and time again. Because they always want something new and shiny, and nothing is new and shiny forever. They don't realize things only stay shiny when you polish them. That child bride knows that she doesn't want kids with this man. I mean, she probably is planning her exit, refusing to have kids with him, so no attachments. Watching him mistreat his own children? If he's doing it to the kids, he's doing it to her. Opie leaving that marriage is the best thing that happens. I'm glad she found a good match that her kids seem to love. It's not clear, but it sounds like they might have video of the ex manhandling poor Gabby and a verbal altercation, which looks bad for both of them, but seems to be on the side of Opie. Some parenting classes or whatever would be well worth getting her out of that house if they can get a judge to see the ex seems to be edging towards physical harm. I mean, she only jumped when her ex was shaking Gabby, so it can count as self-defense. Last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for calling my mother-in-law on my fiancé? Original post. My fiancé, male 22, was injured over a month ago and had surgery to correct things literally 2 days after the accident. I, 21 female, have been by his side the entire time. I have more or less become his caregiver. In the last month, I have taken over the role of keeping our house together. I cook all the meals, I take care of the pets, I stay up all night to tend to his endless needs, and I take him to the bathroom. I have been working remote and haven't left the house for more than an hour since the accident, aside from taking him to and from appointments. I am not saying this to complain. I am grateful that my life allows for me to support him the way I have. My problem is his attitude. He was given very strong painkillers for the first 2 weeks after surgery. He had to extend his time on them and recently stopped taking them in the last week. When he was taking them, he thanked me, told me how much he loved me, apologized at every step, though he didn't need to. Without the meds, he doesn't seem to see that I'm helping him. Every dish I bring him is the wrong one. He will yell for me, and when I come, he will tell me to get lost. If he's in pain, he expects me to fix it. I am exhausted. I can't do anything right, and it is wearing on me. I haven't slept in weeks. I haven't seen a friend or family member in way too long. I can't even be on the phone for more than 10 minutes without it being an issue. After days of what turned into verbal abuse, I called my mother-in-law. I told her everything as soon as I saw he was asleep. I cried for about 15 minutes. I felt terrible unloading on her like that, but I had so much built-up frustration I just couldn't stop. She was very supportive on the phone, let me know I wasn't wrong to feel like that and let me cry. After hearing everything, she was furious and ended our call to talk to her son. She tore him a new one. I heard him trying to defend himself through the door, but it was mostly just stammering. She flew up yesterday and put me in a nice hotel. I haven't heard much from my fiancé since I left, but as I was leaving, he was yelling at me for calling his mom. He said he didn't want to marry someone who couldn't be there for him in sickness. I told him I loved him and I was sorry. I am just so tired. He didn't care and just told me to go, and his mom could do a better job for him than I ever could. So now I'm on my way to a nice hotel room, feeling like a major a-hole. I need to know if I'm wrong here. Edit. He began weaning off 2 weeks ago and became fully dependent on over-the-counter medication this week. He did not stop taking them cold turkey. His doctors were heavily involved too, due to previous substance abuse. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. You've gone above and beyond. In sickness and in health does not mean never needing a break. It doesn't mean accepting abuse. Can you break up with a fiancé and keep the mother-in-law? She sounds great. I second this. Toss the fiancé, keep mother-in-law. Maybe. Withdrawal and pain make a-holes of us all. OP, previously he was super grateful. Maybe give it a few weeks? I think the crappy side of him is the true side. If she doesn't want to deal with him being rude and emotionally abusive, yelling and cussing at her, I'd run. Not the a-hole. It's in sickness and in health, not through abuse and toxicity. This is a distinction that needs to be highlighted more often. Not the a-hole. Exactly. And they're not even married, so those vows mean crap. Lol. Mother-in-law sounds like a keeper though. Now for the updates. Mother-in-law is taking him back to their hometown once they can get flights together. I'll stay in this hotel until then. Fiancé doesn't want to talk yet. And to be honest, I don't blame him. He knows what's coming and I'm angry. I'll go visit him in a week, so I have until then to decide how I want to move forward. My mother called last night about a venue she found in my hometown, and I told her what's going on. She doesn't want to spend a bunch of money on a pending divorce, so we are stepping back from planning. Not much more to add. I'm excited to see my pets and be able to sleep in my own bed. I'm going to try to make my sister fly to my state so I can have some company. That's pretty much it. I'm in serious awe about how I let my life get like this. But oh well, today will be better. Second update. I went home 2 days after posting. Things were sad. My mother-in-law had cleaned, but the energy in the house was a bummer. The first thing he said to me when I got back was, "I'm glad you're back. Can you make me a snack?" There was no apology, no accountability, just a task. He only talked to me when he needed something, and his attitude was worsening. My mother-in-law took the rest of his prescribed opiates, so I knew he wasn't using. The weekend following the mother-in-law debacle, my wonderful fiancé told me he had friends coming to stay for the weekend. 2 hour heads up. Didn't ask. I sighed and made up the guest room. His friend and friend's girlfriend came to stay, and during the stay, my fiancé bought me flowers, got out of bed daily, took me out, and let me call my parents unsupervised. The day they left, he was back to bed with a crappy attitude. I wish I could say I am in my own apartment with my pets, and a bottle of rosé that's just for me, or with my girlfriends that I haven't seen in months. Unfortunately, I'm writing this on a couch while I listen to the music that are his endless demands. However, I do have a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm scared to leave him in person, but is leaving the country for a month in April. My sister lives abroad, and I'm working on getting her during that month. That's a process, especially with pets, but I'm looking forward to getting there. My mother hasn't spoken to me since I told her I was returning the ring, because that's not what we do. We clean our messes. But I have my father's unwavering support. I'll miss my mother-in-law, but I deserve that kindness and understanding from my partner, not his mother. I have stopped forcing myself to find a joy in his presence, and it's helping to fuel my drive to get out of here. I may update again when I get to my sister, but don't be surprised if I do my best to put this chapter behind me. Thanks for the kind words. I hope you all get the love and hugs you need. Sorry, I'm confused. I thought fiancé was going with mother-in-law. Either way, I'm glad you're getting out. The fact that he allowed you to call your parents unsupervised is probably the biggest red flag. And the fact that your mother thinks that this is a mess that you made, or that you need to work to clean up is awful too. But I'm glad you have the support of your dad and mother-in-law. If you don't give another update, then I'll just wish you the best here. You deserve to get out. Mother-in-law was planning on taking him. He refused. The fact that when his friends were around, his switch flipped and he was fine. Then he went right back to being horrible is all you needed to know of his true colors. I look forward to seeing an update about you drinking some rosé away from him. Exactly. That's how abusers behave. Nice and loving towards you in front of others, while being a complete monster behind closed doors. Final update. Things got very bad since I posted this, and I'm currently in my childhood room at my father's, decently hungover. And I am officially a single lady.